George Weah's journey from footballer to president of Africa's oldest republic, Liberia. However, even his start in life in Monrovia is a story in itself, from a poor background onto superstardom playing on some of the world's most famous football pitches. So how did he do it? And how's he doing? Well, the Liberian journalist and author Rodney Sia has just released an unofficial biography on the president, and he took some time out of his international book tour and joined me here at Broadcasting House in London.
So my first thing was to approach him about it. I asked him, he said he wasn't ready to tell the story. But because we had two books written by former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, I thought it was important to tell his story before this coming elections. And I embarked on this journey about 4.5 years ago. I tried to get him to talk a few times actually, and he refused, so thus the unofficial.
This book then, and the fact that there was an refusal on his part to talk, would you hand on heart say that this is a defence of the man because he has had his critics, or a warts and all account of his life so far?
So I try to be as objective as possible, and as you know, you cannot tell a story without telling the whole story. I interviewed about 150 of his friends, peers, ex-friends, footballers who played with him before. I traveled to Cameroon, where he played for some time. I went to parts of Europe, talked to people. So I managed to get a lot of things about him that people may not know about him through his friends and people.
Such as?
For example, there were lots of things about his wealth. For example, people say he was a millionaire after he left the game. I found that to be untrue. The time he played football, he made maybe about $8 to $10 million. And those days, footballers didn't make that kind of money they're making today. The likes of Drogba and Yaya Toure, they make 10 times more than what he was making those days. Also, the fact that he wasted most of his money he made, from what we gathered.
On what?
He had investments in the radio stations, investment in other things that businesses was doing that didn't turn out to be good.
So how then has he dealt with corruption since becoming president? If he knows how easy it is to lose money or for money to go missing, what have you discovered in your investigations?
Well, corruption has been the most critical part of this government, and I think he hasn't handled it well. As a result, there's been the U.S. sanctioned key officials in this government. I think he's lost the political will. There's a chapter in the book about political will. And so the lack of it, I think, is the main Achilles for George Weah's presidency. I think if he had the will to really go after his officials who were corrupt, accused of corruption, in some cases he defends them. He tells people he doesn't have the proof to prosecute them, which for me is a bad sign for any president.
When the issues of Liberia hit the news,
what is it that we, the Liberian people, want?
The Liberian communities in the diasporas are not left out. That's why Diaspora Talk is back on your screens on KMTV. In fact, the United Party is not cohesive. Be it social, political, economic, and other issues affecting Liberia and the diaspora Liberian communities.
I did not expect to even make it to Hollywood.
Join Cyrus McGee and Nathan Charles every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, live on KMTV, Facebook, and YouTube.
I want to be arrested in the midst of my people.
As they discuss the issues, blending the voices from Liberia and the diaspora Liberian communities.
The Liberian Business Association in the diaspora should be used as a vehicle for economic development in Liberia, because no country can develop without the diaspora impact.
For sponsorship, call cell numbers 612-806-5896, 816-433-3979, or better still, email us at usakmtv@gmail.com. Diaspora Talk, don't miss out. Good afternoon, wherever you find yourself. This I'd like to say welcome to a brand new edition of the program Diaspora Talk right here on KMTV. Creative Minds Television Liberia. We are everywhere. That's why we are here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at about this time with this program, blending the voices of those in Liberia and the Liberian communities around the world. I'm Cyrus McGee. I will be joined later on by my colleague Nathan Charles. Nathan is out there taking care of some, you know, important issues, but he will be here to join me on this edition. It's a relatively side edition for our community out here in the diaspora. As over the weekend, the issue of gun violence were on the lips of every Liberian within our communities here, as the Liberian community laid to rest a young Liberian, 20-year-old, as a result of gun violence. It remains a major topic. Our kids must be looked after. We will have assets from that funeral service, which we did on Saturday. There were strong words coming from that funeral service. We will bring you those assets, and I'll pass out to the parents of 20-year-old Abraham Archibald Babel, who was laid to rest on Saturday. But then on the flip side, there are a lot of also good things coming out of our communities in spite of the challenges. There are people making headway and strides in different areas. One of those is Mr. Thomas Tamba. He's a realtor. He will be telling us the importance of acquiring a home in where we call our home right now, away from home. What are those things that we can do? What are the pros and cons? He will join us on the flip side. But again, in Liberia, we cannot forget about our home. With months to our elections, the political theater is heating up. It seems as if to say the issue of opposition unity, which many people are crying for, is not falling on the right ears. As you know, the Liberty Party had a ruling from the Supreme Court last week, granting Chairman Musa Benedict the rights to run the affairs of the party. And on the other side, after praising all of those, running in the race to become vice president to other of the runners, the front runners from the opposition, Benedict had a letter sent over to the National Elections Commission stating that Madam Yombli Kanga Lawrence, the embattled political leader, remains suspended and that the next should not do business with Madam Lawrence. We have a very strong word and response from Madam Yombli Kanga Lawrence as well. We will see how best we can follow these and many more on this edition, but let's take this quick break from one of our sponsors. The Brooklyn Chiropractic here in Brooklyn Park is proud to be associated with Diaspora Talk. Don't go away. I'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Dr. Kent. Welcome to Brooklyn Chiropractic. Come to Brooklyn Chiropractic if you're having any back or neck pain. Especially, we specialize in treating people in auto and work-related injuries. So we've been established here in Brooklyn Center for the last 14 years. And one of the pleasures that I have is helping out in the community. We've sponsored a lot of events throughout the years in the community. And we really appreciate being a part of the community. So if you're experiencing any pain, give us a try. If you want a drug-free way to get better. Thank you.
Away from the October 10, 2023 general and presidential elections. We are grateful, honored, and thankful that even in the midst of all these distractions, we remain in control of the party base, which is the second largest opposition constituency in Liberian politics. Therefore, we are here to announce our policy after several consultative meetings with all the relevant structures, including the diaspora chapters, stakeholders, and advisors, that we will not abandon the legal battle and our next legal action will be announced on Tuesday. But we are ready to get up. We are ready to get up. We are ready to get energized and position ourselves to collaborate with the political institutions that will make the decisions that are in line with the values and beliefs that we continue to stand for and redeem this country. We remain the influencer in the 2023 general presidential elections. And in a few days, we will roll up our sleeves. We will use our political capital and all resources available to decide who becomes the next president to rescue the country.
And I tell you, the voice of Madam Yombli Kanga Lawrence is the political leader, embattled political leader of the opposition Liberty Party. As you heard her, she will roll all her sleeves in making sure that they can support a candidate in the upcoming elections. And she termed the entire wrangling with the opposition as rhetorics aimed at swaying the attention from the public or from the Liberian voters from the activities leading up to the 2023 elections. And also at that program, you listen to people terming her as Rescue 2. Instead of sound that Vice President Bwaka, who's been termed as Rescue 1, is going for Senator Yombli Kanga Lawrence. We are watching, but also in that port city of Buchanan, Grand Bassa County, where she spoke to her base. She was joined by Masorado County Senator Darius DeLong. And DeLong took a shot at the daughter of their fallen political leader, Councillor Charles Bronskin, Councillor at Law Charlene Bronskin, as you know, is a candidate in the upcoming elections. She's running for the Buchanan district, but there is an issue with Charlene and the Yombli Kangas block of the Liberty Party. There are reports that she's lining strongly with the chairman Musa Belity and his crew, but DeLong had an opportunity to take a shot at the Grand Bassa representative candidate. Let's take a listen.
We will not compromise. I need to say this. This party, the political leader, Senator Kate, the entire party, nobody against Charlie Bronsky. Nobody against Charlie. We want to take Charlie for welcome gift, led by the political leader, Jacob Smith, Jonathan Kate, if they need be. If we can sit down and Charlie can allow her big sister to fix things, we can take our people for welcome gift into Buchanan City and we will not be joining them. But, hello? You got to be clear, Jah, the sun shining and the light on the day. Let the people see what they hear about you. You can be here there. Hello? No, it's not possible. You can be here and there. Just Walker Bronsky walked down when he felt cheated and the democracy of our country was declining. He walked down to go rescue the democracy of our country. He didn't hide himself. He was in front. The political leader has the political leadership and political mandate of the party. You all better fall in line or the games that some of us may want to play will catch up with us. It's already catching up. But God is in control of this woman's leadership. You want? Hear the swing.
So you listen to Senator Darius Dillon.
Hello? If you want, hear the swing.
And Grand Master Council was decided over the weekend. I've been joined by my colleague just after announcing that he's on the special assignment. Exactly. Welcome to that.
And when the film set up for long, and the time was struck, and people can use it for
like around the rest of the world.
And you walk into this essay from Grand Bassa. It's like we always say, leading up to October, there will be a lot that the public will hear from our people, from those that wanting to be our leaders. There will be a lot of jumping ships. It's already started. Over 6 political parties joining the CDC, making them down the largest coalition in our country's history. Now, the Liberty Party case with Ability and Yombly is out of the Supreme Court doors. Yombly now announcing that tomorrow there will be another, a political strategy legally announced by her, to be announced by her. Where do you see this going?
Indeed, things are falling apart, and I think the ruling party is happy and dancing to this other song that is being played with.
Yeah, the greatest beneficiaries.
So because if the unity or the unity within the opposition are not in uniformity, definitely we are seeing a second round turn for President George Weah. And with the split within the Liberty Party, recently the Supreme Court ruling came out and announcing Ability faction legitimate stuff. Few days ago, they sent a work on social media that they were trying to smoke peace pipe. But on Saturday, things turned around. And I saw a release from the Liberty Party faction Ability and latching at Senator Darius Dillon and young Blinkanga Lawrence. And saying that this the unity that they are talking about from the Liberty Party faction of Ability is not going to exist. And they are still going to court. This is not something we want to see within the opposition. We hope that they can cement, because like they said, Charles Walter Bromskin, the founding father of this party, though he's dead, but his legacy must continue. And again, the change they are yearning for, the change they are saying that we need in Liberia, leaders are not uniting. They cannot they cannot hold together. We saw that with the ANC of Alexander Cummings and the CPP breaking away Joseph Boyka and other people. So there is a big power struggle. Somebody is fighting for power because of some selfish. I think it's not nationalistic. So we need to get our acts together.
That's a key one indeed. Acts must come together. We are watching, I know in the coming days, the two runners in the opposition bloc gearing up in announcing names. I don't know whether Yombly could be one of those. I see Bassa people chanting Rescue 2. Obviously, the name Rescue 1 is Joseph Boyka. I mean, do you think from those are those signs that there might be closing in on these?
I mean, Liberia is small. People
there's
talk.
Nothing still quiet for a long time.
Confidentiality, people talk. And it is open secret that Joseph Boyka has been talking to people, right? And there is a panel set up to look at who is possible, looking at the numbers. You saw the factors. You saw the Henry Costa story came a few weeks ago that he was in the talk. You heard Jeremiah Kuhn from Nema County came out. He was in the talk. Young Kaga Lawrence has been in the talk for a very long time. And so people talk with these things, because if you are doing a vetting process, it's set up a committee to look at the most
different
possible. We are only hearing these 4 names. So one of them, Kanwa May, will be the VP. So, and looking at the gender factor, what happens, and you put in Young Blinkaga Lawrence, looking at Grand Bassa County, people looking at Nema County, but if you can get Nema County to a representative from there, so they are still studying the political strategy within that opposition. But indeed, whatever it is, people are still insisting. Like John Balut
So the
is
Balu is saying
saying
that there must be an opposition unity.
Opposition unity.
And that's key indeed. You listen to Billity on the weekend when he was on the closing argument. He praised all of those in the running for, out of the seats.
A crafty politician.
It's another form. And Billity and Snow do have something in common. They go out there, shoot their shots. They know what they want, and they get it and walk away. But we are keeping our eyes out there. But again, we were together on Saturday in what was, another tearful moment for our community. And I thought not to brush that apart. We got a couple of essays from, the funeral of the late Abraham Archibald Barley. And I know I saw the long write-up from you as it relates to the scene at that place on Saturday.
Nothing touched my heart when the issue of gun violence, when I saw two mothers whose kids were gunned down due to gun violence. People kill these young children. And, like the famous saying, guns don't kill people. People use guns to kill people. And if guns are entering into the wrong hands, we will experience these massive deaths. You listen to Kim and Telmon, two ladies who recently kids were killed, and that touched my heart. I saw them.
The sad part about that, their kids were reportedly killed one after another by two brothers. Yeah, one brother killed the first one.
Telmon's
his brother
son
killed the other one.
Kim.
And it's like what we're gathering is that the group of kids that this kid died from also is from the same line of group of friends. So it's kind of crazy. But we will play SS from that funeral. We will bring you SS of the two ladies, and and also the mother of Archibald. She was strong-worded, and that's one strong mother I have ever seen. So far, she was telling people, when you tell people not to cry, and then you are crying as well. So,
and she made a good point, the issue of stereotyping.
Yeah,
and to say, because you have a dreadlock,
you are a barricade, and all of this. Those are things that our community will need to work on as it relates to handling our young
culture. Our culture practices is different. And, you see people how they operate. And Advocate Samson Williams, he was clear. How can our community continue to stand out? I think June 5th is this a hearing.
The 6th.
How can we support that hearing? Because the perpetrator, the accused, is being heavily supported or represented in court. Legal. Also, how can we design programs in our community to create more awareness on gun violence? Because this is happening right at home. And we saw one thing that touched me. I saw the young children at that funeral. Yeah. It stormed that funeral, and
17,
I saw them,
16 years old, they all crying, they have personal interaction with the kid. But let's see whether we can bring some excerpt from the funeral. And like I said, on the flip side, we will be talking to a professional in our community. He's already seated back waiting to join us. But once we wrap up with this from Saturday, we will bring in a professional to tell you that indeed there are other good things that are coming out of our community, despite the heartbreaking moments that we have. And stay tuned. Let's bring you this excerpt from this grieving mother.
I just want to say thank you to all of you. There's some point where people say don't cry, but they cry too. You see, 2 years ago, I went to a party. When he came back, he said, "Mommy, guess what?" I said, "What?" He said, "You were kicked me out of the party. There were a bunch of friends, and you threw them out." He said, "No, ain't they bullshit?" I said, "No, Bernard is not a bad person. You're an enemy." And I'm actually not back into that party. In short, I just want to say, our Liberian community, until we can stop laboring the kids, we will be together. Not because you see our child having a drink, or you see the child pants up and down, and you assume it's in a game. Today, my son, Abraham Archie Bradley, is lying down here because of one idiot, coward.
Get it out.
Stupid.
Get it out.
I said, Archie, I love you. I love you so much. Till we meet again. Thank you, Lord.
This funeral, I see everybody here today. It shouldn't be over. You guys should still go and see Monica, because she still needs every one of you. And then also, she has court that she's going to need your support. Because these people come in numbers like it wasn't a life that it took. And you guys have to show up in numbers and show support. We have to put this girl by this rest. This woman has to
Hello, my name is Kim Adams, and my son was shot and killed in March of this year.
We want to go to your graduation. We want to give you flowers for your degrees. We just want to be proud parents. Please hold on together. The beef with Snapchat is enough. The beef on social media is enough. You guys are great people. You guys are great leaders coming up. Just take this. And to us parents, don't support it. Report them if they are buying guns. Don't hire lawyers for them. Don't hire lawyers for them. It is a part of life. It's okay to disagree. Let parents be here and be proud that we can work together. Winifred is going to be there, watching the door at 10 a.m. to see if he's going to walk out.
The community indeed did turn up, and those were SS from Saturday. It was a huge turnout indeed to see that 20-year-old laid to rest. And our guests are already joining us. Nathan Charles is still here with me, and let's see whether we can get this through, get this going. Nathan, I believe if, like the words were so strong from Saturday, and a lot of people came out. You saw how tight it was to enter in there.
Indeed, that's why I said it's not just like some of the speakers said, not just at the funeral. Let's show support for this family, and also how can we create more awareness, create programs to disabuse these kids from having guns or using guns not in the rightful manner. And, you're like one of the his brother or cousin said, if only he had come to his his cousin at that moment, maybe he would have stopped him from going out that night to another place to be gunned down.
Yeah, Mr. Tamba, welcome. Thomas Tamba is the head of CG Reality LLC, one of our strong guys in the community. You've been listening. That started from the thoughts. What are your thoughts from Saturday? I know you were one of those who look out in the community. There are a lot of things happening with our young people.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for welcoming me to your television network. You are doing pretty good. promoting the affairs of Liberians and in the diaspora and even back home. But I want to say thank you to you. The situation of gun violence has been a concern for all of us. We been in the diaspora for so many years. We have our kids, and it's becoming so troubling that you find these kids being victims of gun violence. And this is an issue that we need to address collectively. We need to, as business, for some of us who in a business environment, we need to get together with the community organizations, with county organizations, with the relevant authorities, and let's discuss these issues. Let's see if we can adapt methods, we can identify solutions to help our kids. Otherwise, tomorrow, I may be the victim, you may be the victim. Matter of fact, if any kid gets shot, we are all victims. And it's really concerning. It was a very, very sad experience on Saturday.
I know, and it's good to have you. Like I told the public, there are other good things that are coming out of our communities, in spite of what we're going through. The issue of deaths, gun violence, drug use by our young people, and the rest of it. And one of those that is flying the community high in a positive direction is Tamba. How do you feel about what you do? First of all,
well, I'm pretty humble. I'm excited. This is something I do that I have passion for. Even though I didn't start with real estate, I started with accounting, and I gradually got my background in accounting. But over the time, I developed particular interest in helping people, and so I've gotten involved with real estate for over 17, 18 years now, and we've been helping families, and it's really, really exciting that Liberians in the diaspora, now not just Liberians, but many immigrants are catching up to the concept of home ownership, because it is one of the easiest way to accumulate wealth in this country. And I tell people that every day. At first, when you come to the United States, the systems look so big. People are afraid to venture into things because they feel that, some of these engagements require long-term commitments.
Okay.
And so, they're not pretty familiar with how these things work, so that they become pretty afraid. So it takes a special counseling time to educate people that, living in the United States, don't be afraid of debt. It's the biggest thing that people are afraid of. Oh, I don't want to get into debt. I don't want to owe people. I'd rather just rent. But the way wealth is accumulated in this country is through debt. We just have to educate people. And a lot of Liberians have not begun to understand the concept of acquiring wealth, utilizing other people's money. Debt is using other people's money to build wealth. And that's where we've kind of been successful to an extent. We are still doing the best we can to educate people more about, home ownership, but also other investment in real estate.
Wow, 17 years of working in the area. Tell us exactly what are some of those challenges that you meet when you encounter people, wanting to have a home, don't know where to start from. I know. What are some of those things that they bring to you? Where can I start? And how do you come in with them?
Well, generally, the first thing we meet is like, hey, I have no idea what this makes. I don't have no idea how this works. I'm trying to buy a home. I've seen my family got a home. My brother got a home. Everybody tells me get a home. I have no understanding. So the first encounter is to address that, that situation where they have no knowledge at all. So we have to begin the process of educating them. What it is, how you acquire property. Let's look at your credit. Do you have credit? What are the things on your credit? Many people don't think that credit is a lot in this country, but it's everything. Look at your credit profile. If there are things that need to be corrected, let's take care of those things. Then we explain to them what the buying process is. Even before the buying process, we explain to them what the advantages are owning a home. Because when you purchase a home, this is a vibrant economy, regardless of what happened in the past. Home ownership in this country or real estate investment in this country is always going to trend upwards. So we tell them that, hey, this is what you need to do. Get a home. Make your payments on time. Over time, that home develops equity. That equity belongs to you, not the bank. So if you purchase a home for $200,000 or $400,000, 5 years down the line, if that home is now worth $100,000 more, that extra equity belongs to you. All you did was to live in the house. All you did was to pay a mortgage payment, just like you pay, renting
an apartment.
Renting an apartment. The thing about renting is that when you are paying rent, all of that money goes to the owner of that house. You're actually helping the owner of that house to pay
his home.
And then he's acquiring equity on that house. And you're going to live there, you have no benefits, and it's a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, and every year the rent is going to go up. You have no control over that. The space is not yours. You know, so many restrictions on what you can do, where you can park. Your children, your family is growing. So transitioning into home ownership also brings that pride of having my own place, on top of, you know, acquiring equity over time. And also, even the payments you are making, some of those payments are going towards paying down the debt that you owe. So it's another form of savings. So over the time, I've dealt with so many people, right? I've helped so many people over the years that started very little, and you don't really have to start very big. You know, if you cannot get a $500,000 house, get a townhome, or get something best
to start up
with. Over time, equity is going to develop. You can now take that equity and move up and get bigger houses.
Okay, for me, I see you just lucky. I know you and I, we are not stranger to this.
Yeah.
We are homeowners, but for the benefit of the public, I know
I want to be more practical.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan Charles work and earn $20 an hour, have a 550 credit score.
Okay.
He wants to get pre-approved or qualify for a house, maybe in Brooklyn Center or Brooklyn Park.
Okay.
You as an expert, what are my chances? Be more practical. Explain the process to me.
Well, first of all, what we need to do is we need to set timing, because everyone has a different situation, right? So if you come with a situation that has some challenges, right, we have to allow timing. The first thing we want to tell you, well, let's get your credit straight first. So this is not a process you show up to me today and you want a house tomorrow, right? So we want to set those expectations first. Let's look at the credit, because you can, except you have all that money saved in your account. But if you don't have that money and you have to go to the bank to get the money you want to buy a house with, the first thing they're going to look at is your credit. So what we do with most of our clients, and we find these challenges in our community, and it's because a lot of people are not so, aware of how their credits are affected. So we start with the credit, we put the credit up immediately. And then we look at the credit, we get you connected to other professionals who will help you, improve the credit. Because once the credit is improved, right, then banks can look at the possibility of looking at you credibly in terms of borrowing you funds or money.
So you improve your credit by paying our debts?
Well, there are many things. It depends on the profile of your credit, right?
Credit strength, history.
Well, credit history. But if you have derogatory items on your credit, like collections, debts and endorsements and all the other stuff on your credit, we want to make sure we address those things first. If you have judgments or collection items because you haven't paid people, we want you to address those things. Now, there are ways those things are addressed, and that's why we bring in some of the professionals, because there are some debts you may not necessarily want to pay that off immediately, except if it's having immediate impact continuously on your scoring, right? On the way you are scored. But you take care of that. The utilization of credit also determines, where you are. If you have a credit card, let's be practical, right? So you have a credit card that allows you to use up to $1,000, right? If you use, yes, even though you have that availability to use $1,000, but if you max out that $1,000, it has a negative impact on you. It tells creditors that you are largely surviving on credit, which is a risk factor, right? So we advise you to pay down those credit cards obligations, and those are things that improve your score. So we start with that first. And then while you're doing that, you mentioned about income, making $20. Yeah. While you are doing that, we also advise you to be steady with your job. Don't quit your job. You don't get a loan if you don't work. If you can get better jobs, that's fine, but just make sure that your progression, you don't have gaps, right? Improve your income, because banks are going to look at how much you make to determine how much they can borrow you.
Is that a length period I should improve my income? Maybe 1 year, 2 years, 6 months, 30 days?
Generally, it doesn't really matter. If your income improves immediately and banks can substantiate that income is stable, right? They will base your qualification on that stable income. What most people talk about, a year or two, just keep jobs. You have job stability for at least 2 years, and that's going to help you in the process.
So in short, it's more like you cannot just jump out today and want to buy a house, looking at the factors he's naming, the level of your credit, somebody wanting to today. What scoring are you looking at? Oh yes, you're good. We can start this week, and I can assure you that in a month or two, we can get you a home.
So purchasing a house, it depends. We have clients who come to us and tell us, like, I want a house. And we put a credit, and the credit is excellent. And they have the income, and they have the savings. And we'll talk about the savings a little bit more. And they have the savings. You can go right away. Because once banks approve you, like, hey, this is a prime client, this is a client that we can work with, we start looking right away. So we've had people who come to us, and then within 2 months period, they were already in a home. Okay, so it depends on your credit profile.
Good credit, good savings, but you don't have a stable job. I know they will tell you will say 2 years or more.
Definitely.
Where do that lie? You got good credits, you got good savings, but you don't have a stable job.
So banks do have qualifying conditions. And one of the qualifying conditions would be the stability of your job. The banks want to make sure that you can maintain a job. They're not about to put $400,000 in you when you cannot keep a job, because definitely paying them back is going to be a struggle. So banks most of the lenders use these banks benchmarks to qualify you, in terms of how much they can borrow you, and being assured that they're going to get paid back. So those are the major things would be: take care of your credit, keep a job, stable job, and then save some money. Most people think that they can buy a house without putting anything down. Sometimes it does happen, but I like to always, advise or counsel or educate my clients, like, save some money. If you don't use it, it's icing on the cake. But save some money, because there's no way you're going to get you're going to get $500,000 without at least putting something down. You got to have a skin in the game.
No matter your credit score.
No matter what the credit score is. But there are programs, though. And for first-time home buyers, there are programs that are out there that can help you.
Such as?
They got first-time home buyer programs. They have some of these counties that have grants that it can give you. And some lenders may have some in-house grant programs or other, financing options for you. But
like down payment, closing costs.
So those programs, actually, that's what those programs are. Those first-time home buyer programs, the funds that you get from there will go towards your down payment and your closing costs. And many people say, what's your closing cost? I tell people closing costs is all the expenses you have to incur when you're buying a house, right? So there are programs out there that you can qualify for. But again, most of these programs are contingent on credit score.
So explain more on this down payment and pre-qualify and qualify. Explain more to our audience.
It's actually pre-approved.
Pre-approved.
And pre-qualify.
Pre-qualify.
Okay. So if you notice, if you live in America, you're going to get a lot of mails, from credit card companies, and say,
especially when they know you have a good credit.
Yeah, they say you're approved for this, you're approved for this, and whatever it is. What they do is that they run a scenario based on what your situation is, what your credit profile is, and other things. So they send you those things in the mail. You are not pre-approved. You are pre-qualified. So these are qualifying conditions they are looking at that meet their borrowing standards, right? So they mark it out to you and say, well, based on what we see, right, you are pre-approved. Pre-qualified to borrow up to this amount, right? Now, the difference with pre-qualified and pre-approved means that the lender has done some investigation, which means they have requested you to provide, they have pulled your credit, they ask you to provide income information, they've done some verifications, maybe your bank statements and other stuff. At that point, if they feel that they have verified or substantiated the information that's needed, then you move from being pre-approved to you move from being pre-qualified to pre-approved. So pre-approved is a lot more stronger qualification than pre-qualified. Pre-qualified qualification is just like, man, you look good, man. You look good.
And you guys tell people that because you are redditor. You pre-qualified.
Well, we don't necessarily tell people you are pre-qualified,
You ask for people W-2s. You ask for
because we are realtors. So what we do is that we ask you to bring those documents to get pre-approved.
Okay.
So we help you connect with the right lenders, and we send those documents to the lenders. The lenders do all of their investigation in the back. They're going to do the verifications. They're going to verify that the income document you're sending them is genuine, that you don't have some fly-by-night employer or non-existent employer, because people do that a lot and bring documents that are not really legit. Yeah, definitely. So the lenders go through the pre-approval process, and once they do that, they issue a pre-approval letter, and that's what we use as realtors to get out there to find you a property that that meets the terms of that pre-approval letter. So if you are pre-approved for a $50,000, $500,000. I like $500,000. It sounds really good.
Because it's half $1 million.
And guess why he like it? Because he got to tell why he like it.
Commission. There must be a struggle tied to that.
Actually, isn't it one of the motivating factors?
It is.
It's not the only one, because we've had a lot of realtors who just look at the commission, and people think that realtors make all this big money. Not necessarily so, but many realtors compromise a lot of ethical approaches because they are more about just the income, right? The commission. But real estate is a really, really decent profession, and it's guided by a lot of ethics. And if you violate these ethics, you could have your real estate license yanked out of your hands. So, and more than that, is there's a good business practice that when you are helping people who come to you and tell you, I don't know anything about this, I'm making the biggest financial decision in my life. This is going to affect me, my children, and other stuff. So that responsibility and that trust goes beyond just getting a commission. You have to take that personally. And that's how I see myself in this business for the time I've been in this business. That if I was in your shoes, how would I want to be treated?
Okay.
And so this is the kind of motivation that sometimes wakes me up in the morning and call my clients like, hey, we got to do this. We have to reassess this condition. We have to, I advise that we do this, right? Even in the process of the house buying, not just before buying the house, but there are other issues you may not know. I take people out to show them houses, and they are so excited because the houses are so well staged and so beautiful, and the wife is going crazy. Oh, I want this
antique design, open kitchen plan.
I want a walk-in bathroom.
The kitchen, the closet for the ladies.
Walk-in closets.
For the ladies, it's the kitchen, it's the closet, and then they come to the bathrooms, right? For the guys, they want the basement, right? They
finished basement.
They want a finished basement.
Backyard.
They want in the backyard too, right? And they want have their little men's cave in the basement. But the thing about it is that, yes, you may be seeing all of these beautiful things because that's how the house is staged. But when I enter that house,
behind the walls,
I'm not looking at what you're looking at.
What do you look for?
I'm actually, when I come down from my car, I'm looking at a lot of things. I'm looking at the roof first.
Yeah,
I'm looking at
the furnace.
Before we get to the furnace, those are the mechanicals. I'm looking at the exterior first because
sidings.
That tells you, it begins to give you an inclination of how well that property was maintained. If you begin to enter the house and you see that, the driveway, you have cracks. You see the windows, you see some cracks in the windows, or the windows are all frosted because the windows have the seal, that protects the temperature. It's all broken. Now, those are things you would not know, but I'm looking at those things. I'm looking at the roof. I'm looking at the doors. I'm looking at, the surrounding, I'm looking at whether there has been water activity. I'm looking at whether the gutters are apart from the house, because if you have gutters that drain in the sprouts, are draining close to the house, you have any water activity, guess what happened to the water? It's going right towards the house. It's affecting the foundation. You start to have more issues. The house starts to look musky, smell crazy, and all that stuff. So those are the things I'm looking at. And when we enter the house, you are running, and you're running looking at kitchen and
nice garage.
And the new
stainless steel.
The steel, appliances and other stuff. I'm actually looking at different things.
That will cost you more to repair.
I'm looking at where do you have the GFI plugs, right? You may not know that, But those are electrical devices that are installed where there's water activity.
Okay.
Like your kitchen sink, right? What's happening every day? Washing dishes. And if you look not too far, you're gonna see plugs. Right there, you can plug, other appliances and other stuff right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to see what that is, because if you are washing dishes and water splashes right into that stuff, what's gonna happen? Electrical shocks, right? So they have the right thing. So there are many other things I'm looking at. I'm going in the basement, I'm looking at the mechanicals.
So you're also saving people, you're not just showing houses and just to get commission.
What they think about, because here is it.
So why interest you to do that? You just show houses.
First of all, I don't want to sell you a house in there tomorrow. You come like time. So you show me this house, and then the furnace, even though I cannot guarantee the functionality of the furnace, but I can tell you based on experience, like, let's get a professional inspector here to inspect these things. And we make that conditions of the sale, so that when we interact with the seller, we tell the seller, say, hey, yes, we're buying this house for $500,000. We like it, but we want to do inspections. We want to know the condition of this house, right? The inspectors will know, things. If I suspect that there are things, about the house, I'm going to talk to the inspector. I'm like, hey, I noticed this. Inspector goes in there and comes up with all those conditions, like, hey, man, this house is beautiful. But did you guys notice that the sink under the toilet or it's under the kitchen cabinet is leaking?
There's a mold.
There's mold issue. Did you guys know? You may not know this, but they go with testers to test the electrical system, the plumbing system, the vent, and just a whole lot of things they do.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I do these things because it is a service, and that's why I say it's not about the commission. Okay. It's about the service. Now, are there times we have issues? Yes. Are there issues we want to catch all of the time? No. I recently had a situation where there were certain issues that were disguised by the seller. Right now, I got a client that will have to work with that. We have to go back to the sellers, and tell the sellers that, hey, you did not disclose these things. Our inspector didn't catch them. However, inspectors will not catch everything. Right. Inspectors will not. You can only catch things to see. But in the process, we try to negotiate warranties.
Okay. Yeah.
To help to kick in the event that we have these after sale activities. So there's a lot of things that go into being a realtor and also understanding your clients. And
so what's troubling in I know I've heard this term a lot when I was looking for a home to buy. We will waive the waiving inspection for a lower cost, probably saving you thousands of dollars. But you waiving inspection because the seller wants to get this, done with and leave. What's the pros and cons to that?
So, like any transaction, everybody is seeking their own interest. Right. And this is why it's so good to work with a realtor, a professional realtor, because we are trained, and by virtue of our experience, we are trained to know how to negotiate these issues. There are several reasons why a seller may not want to do inspections. Right. And actually, they will sell it. They will tell you that this house is being sold as it is. Right. There's issues. The seller will know, obviously, that there are things that they cannot fix. They don't have the money to fix it. And they just want to sell the house as is. So sometimes they discount the price of the house and let you know that, hey, I have these issues, so I won't be able to fix these things. Because when we do a sale transaction and make that contract, the sales contract, contingent on inspection, it means we have to negotiate those things after. Sellers try to avoid that and say, look, I can't do inspection on this house. I won't stop you from doing inspection, but I just won't be able to address the issues that come after the inspections, right? These are some of the reasons, and sometimes they discount the price. Now, are there other times that the buyer will willingly accept inspection? Yeah, many times we've had situations that the buyer's like, I'm not going to do any inspection. I'm going to get a house. I like that house. Whatever the risk is, I'm going to take it. But we do advise them about the risk of skipping inspection. But sometimes they look at, what is the benefit? Why would somebody choose to skip inspections? So you got a house, you have 15 buyers all fighting for the same house. And like we experienced over the past years.
Making huge offers.
And still experiencing.
And making so many offers, right? Some of the conditions that would appease the seller to look in your direction would be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to skip inspection. Who do you think the seller might look at?
Go with you.
Of course, because they don't want you to potential. Even if their house is, they have no
lower price.
They don't want anybody coming back with inspection issues to them.
But is that an issue for the lenders?
The lenders do have, it depends the kind of a loan programs that you are going with. Now, if you are going with some guarantee programs like the government guarantee loans, FHA loans, they are going to send appraisals. They are going to send their own people to check the condition of the house. And if that house doesn't meet, the
standard,
the safety standards, they will require the seller to fix that.
Fix those. Yes.
Yeah, fix those things. If the seller cannot fix it at all, you are not going to get approved for that loan. It means that we can cancel the contract agreement and go find another house.
So you've been working with a couple of people, I mean, from all backgrounds within Minnesota. What drives you to continue serving them?
The fact that at the end of the day, I was part of the process of, helping them make the biggest decision for their family. And I feel happy that I come back and see that I was part of that whole process. Just helping them transition, just helping them grow. I can look back that, yes, I did something that helped my community and helped my people.
How can you defend this that always come out of realtors, that maybe home buying is the biggest purchase in your life?
I don't want to necessarily say it's going to be the biggest purchase, but more than likely it's going to be the biggest purchase. Because if you are buying a home for $500,000, what else are you spending money on for $500,000? Right? So, I mean, that's going to be almost the biggest purchase, except you tell me that you're going to buy a yacht, or you're going to buy a plane or other stuff. But for most people, it's going to be the biggest purchase in their life.
So let's explain to our viewers this conventional loan and what's the essence or how critical it is to co-sign for anyone.
Well, that question is kind of loaded, but I will try to I will try to segment it. Okay. Co-signing for somebody is a totally different animal. Co-signing for somebody is taking on the responsibility as that person, for any obligation to the lender. So and to make it a lot more easier, is that if you cannot qualify to buy a house all by yourself because you have limited income, right? You can bring me in because I got a good credit score as well too. The lender can use my income and your income to qualify for that house. However, we are both obligated to that loan, to that mortgage payment. So if you don't make that mortgage payment, the lender comes after me because we've joined to take a loan from the lender. Okay. Now, if you cannot make your payment, your credit score goes down, my credit score goes down. So co-signing for somebody, you are equally liable for the loan, for that liability, for that debt. So that's what it is. Now, that's totally different from conventional financing. Conventional financing, lenders have so many different programs that they qualify you for. These are all different mortgage products. So conventional financing is one of those mortgage products that has a set of requirements defined by the lender. And generally, they have national standards, that are set, and banks follow those national standards. So conventional financing is in a situation where you are putting down a substantial amount of money, generally. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean you cannot qualify for conventional financing with lower amount, but the scores requirement are a lot more different. They're a little stronger. The down payment requirement is a little different. And the amount of money they can borrow you based on your income is a little different as well too. So they have these different qualifying conditions. Okay. I don't know if you want me to go far.
Go right ahead.
So we have other products called FHA. FHA products are generally products that it's a loan program that's kind of guaranteed by the government. Okay. And that's actually meant for people who don't have like great credit scores, or people who don't make a whole lot of money but want something nicer. So the terms and the amount of the debt ratio that is used in qualifying you for a bigger amount with FHA is a lot more relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
And the conditions are a lot more relaxed because these are loans that are guaranteed by the government. Okay, that yes, John Brown, he doesn't make that much. We will guarantee that in the event of default and other stuff like that, we can guarantee that you can borrow in this money with little down payment.
So if I bought a house, yes, and I'm going to buy a second house,
yes,
which loan program can I fit in?
Well, it depends on what your bank is offering. So when you are buying a home, your first home, okay, the conditions for borrowing that is a little different than if you're buying a second home. So if you're buying a first home, you are generally you are putting down very little. They got these programs that you put down 3% or 5%, right? Because it's a primary home. That's where you're going to live, right? So they make the lending condition a little less difficult, right? But if you are buying a second home, now it depends. If you are buying a second home for investment purposes, it's different because lenders are taking different risks depending on the kind of on the use of that property. If you are going to buy that property, even your first home, if you are buying it as an investment property, if you're not buying it as a homestead where you want to live, right? The lending conditions are different because you are risking, the lender is taking greater risk because you are using that house for business. If that business goes down, you cannot raise revenue. More than likely, you will lose that. So, if you are buying your second home and you are disposing of the first home,
putting that one away,
right? And then the lending conditions again on the second home are going to be a little different. You might get the same 3% or 3.5% or sometimes 5% down payment. And most people ask, what is down payment? Lender's not going to give you 100% of what you approved for. They always want you to put something down. Okay. So if you're buying a second home, it's different. If you are buying a second home to rent, it's a different qualification too. But lenders do have all these programs, and this is where we sit with our buyers and then, ask them what you want to do. You're buying a house, what's the goal? And then we match it up with the right lenders who explain these different programs and how it fits their buying profile.
So do you also look at do you work with home buyers to look at their monthly mortgage? Is that something you also...
what happens from the initial stage is when you get pre-approved by a lender, there are disclosure requirements by the government that the lender has to disclose to you the terms of the loans, and that includes your monthly payment, right? So they give you these estimates that if you are buying at this price point, right, this is what you should expect to be your monthly payment.
Okay.
So you have those initial disclosures before we go forward. Now you could be approved for a lot of money, right? But you don't necessarily have to borrow all of that money. I have people who qualify for too much money and it's like, no time, I don't want to buy that high, even though I can afford it, but I want to,
keep it in a special rate.
I'm with my family. If anything happens to me or happens to my partner, I want to be able to still, we want to be able to still maintain the payment on one person's income.
So on the worst case scenario with that, went for a huge loan, got a big house, 2-3 years later, something happened, you cannot continue. Maybe your customer come back to you, Tampa, I'm in the situation. What advice will you give them?
So,
you cannot maintain that home payment anymore.
First of all, we want to look at the conditions. What happened? Oh, well, I don't have this job anymore. I got fired. Or my partner and I, we going through divorce, or I've had too many other medical situations and I won't be able to maintain this payment anymore. So then we say, well, get involved with the lender. Let the lender know that you may not be able to because you got a contract. That you will not be able to continue with the terms of the contract because of certain circumstances. Some lenders will, put you into a remodification program,
forbearance.
Yeah, so they have a lot of other mitigating ways, to help you maintain your house. Now, the goal for the lender is not for you to lose the house. Because now the lender has to foreclose on the house. They got to get lawyers in, and they might end up selling the house for less than what they lend, they give lender you the money for. Yeah. So lenders want to help you maintain the house. Now, if it reaches a point where all of these other, modification programs do not help, then we look at the possibility of short selling the house, right? And what that means is we want to put the house in the market immediately. We want to talk with the lender to see whether we can sell this house for less than what you owe on it. And most lenders will choose to do that.
In case there are equities in there already.
Or you're going to lose the equity. So, okay. Yeah, and so you bought a house 10 years ago, $300,000. The house is now worth $500,000, right? And you say, oh, now I cannot continue to pay this house because of these, circumstances. Now, there are ways we'll try to help you, like, hey, if you can't pay this house, let's sell this house quick and get the equity out. But if you let this house go into foreclosure, you're going to lose the equity you got in this house. You're going to lose everything. The bank is going to take everything. Sometimes my end up giving you $5,000 to move. But yeah, you want to lose that. So our role, when you, and I tell everybody, if you begin to have difficulties with your payment, talk to your realtor immediately.
So this is a lifetime relationship we build.
Yeah, we build this lifetime relationship. Actually, I have so many repeat clients. You know, and I get all these referrals. I have so many repeat clients. People we bought first homes, we bought second homes. They are now buying investment properties and other things like that. But if you begin to have difficulties with your payment, talk to your realtor immediately. We can help you navigate the process and make sure if you have equity and you obviously cannot maintain that house, we extract your equity, you know, because it's going to be too sad with leaving a $200,000 equity to the bank. The bank is going to take everything. That's the terms of the contract because the lien is on the house. So if you foreclose on that house, you foreclose everything on it. It means you forfeit everything on that house.
We could talk this. We could talk this all day. We already out of time, but I think that's a great long strain of education. We hope we can have you as often as possible.
Yes, and
to
I mean,
talk
just do
about
this
some of these
step
things.
by step, because I tell you, a lot of people don't have knowledge. Everybody, I want to. I see Cyrus a house. I want to buy the house.
I want to buy the house too.
So there's a need. You have to explain step by step, and that will also educate the people. Like you said, two things: owning house is having building your own financial capability, because you can also pull up the equity, and we should not be afraid of debt.
Debt is a part of
You know,
life.
when I came to the US, my first credit card was 500, but now when I pull up my debt, I was like, is this me?
So just to that note, before I know you have to run out of time, but I won't mind. I know you run your TV station. I wouldn't mind if we have a 15-minute, show.
Okay.
I can come in here and, like you said, we cannot cover everything right now. There are just so many things, but I can come in here. It's 15 minutes, just a 15-minute show, whether it's going to be once a week or whatever the case is. We use this time to just educate our people.
Yeah, interactive.
And
People
just,
call in, have
ask
questions.
And I avail myself to that because I think it's part of my service to the community as well too.
Yeah, and just before we wrap it up, I see you with a huge badge on your shoulder, and I know that it brings another bit of icing to the cake. It's LIBA, the Liberian Business Association. I know you're a full-fledged member, so you want to tell the business people out there, JFIT, as we wrap it up, what is it like being a part of LIBA, and what do you benefit from being a part of LIBA?
So LIBA is this organization that of businesses in the diaspora, Liberian businesses, but now we have incorporated other nationals. But the major thing is so that we can build capacity. We can share information. We can share experiences. We can enhance, and identify sources to grow our businesses, and we can stand as one voice, and so LIBA has been able to provide that platform over the years. It's been a long process. The executive director right now, George, I mean, he's been doing so much more to keep this organization together. And now that we've gotten a lot of recognition from the city, from the county, we are reaching out to other banks and a lot of other institutions that have programs that could speak. I mean, that speak to especially people minority, right? But and we've used or at least LIBA has been a platform for that sort of outreach, and there has been so many benefits. Right now, I think every other time we have in training programs, the cities are providing some grants, and we have professionals come and teach people how to give their books and other stuff. So LIBA has been doing a whole lot. There's still a lot more to do, but I was a founding member of LIBA. I'm still a consultant to LIBA. Our goal here is to bring in as many businesses, encourage businesses to come and learn. You cannot stand alone if you're going to be in the business environment and navigate waters by yourself.
So how can one get to Mr. Tama if they have interest in obtaining a home?
My number is 763-269-9233. Better yet, you can follow me on Facebook. I'm pretty loud on Facebook. I'm Tom Tama. That's for sure. That's why everybody call me. And I do have a website. I'm going to provide you the information, and hopefully you can flash that.
What's your website if you want to say that?
My website is tomtama.com. You can go to tomtama.com. You can go to tomtamahomes.com. It's going to lead you to the same site, and the company's website is cgrealty.com.
All right. On this note, we'd like to wrap it up on this edition of Diaspora Talk. In spite of what's going on in our community, like I said, there are good things happening, and you listen to Tom Tamba, there are a lot of things that you will draw from this. If you can, even after the show, you can share the link, let other people benefit from this education. We will have it on the KMTV app. You can search KMTV app on any of the social, online platforms, be it Roku TV, Fire TV, Apple TV, Google TV. You can just search KMTV Liberia and download the app. There are a lot of exciting things there, and we'll also have this particular segment of why is it good to get a home. What are some of those things in
acquiring wealth
through you home purchasing? But Tama, it was good having you on this edition, and like you said, we'll see whether we can make that space and whatever you can do, just to provide the education for our people. We can work on that. So Nathan, we call it a day, and to our communities, like the guys said on Saturday, June 6th will be the hearing in the death of Archibald Abraham Babbage Jr. There will be a hearing as it relates to giving the alleged perpetrator the opportunity in court. So if you can make your way rally with the community and help, let's provide a support for those grieving parents. But until Wednesday, when we are here with another edition of the program Diaspora Talk, I'd like to say thanks to all of you for following us. Thanks for being there. If you're a business person, you need to do some promotion. Let us know, as this, we will be able to help you get the words out there in what you do and how people can get their businesses out there. I mean, be it your goods and services like the Brooklyn Chiropractor is doing. We can also do that for you. Until Wednesday, have yourself a wonderful time. Let's leave you with this, one of our sponsors, the Brooklyn Chiropractor.
Hi, my name is Dr. Kent. Welcome to Brooklyn Chiropractic. Come to Brooklyn Chiropractic if you're having any back or neck pain. Especially, we specialize in treating people in auto and work-related injuries. So we've been established here in Brooklyn Center for the last 14 years. And one of the pleasures that I have is helping out in the community. We've sponsored a lot of events throughout the years in the community. And we really appreciate being a part of the community. So if you're experiencing any pain, give us a try. If you want a drug-free way to get better. Thank you.
Let your celebration begin with Park Liquor Outlet, your first Liberian-owned liquor store in the city of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. We have everything that you need to set that special occasion or bride. For your next party or great get-together with friends, visit Park Liquor Outlet. We have great selection of beer, wine, gin, and many more at affordable prices. Our customer service will make you always want to come back. We are open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. Park Liquor Outlet, your one-stop celebration store. We are located at 6315 Zine Avenue North, Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Visit us today and feel the difference. When the issues of Liberia hit the news,
what is it that we, the Liberian people, want?
The Liberian communities in the diasporas are not left out. That's why Diaspora Talk is back on your screens on KMTV. In fact, the United Party is not cohesive. Be it social, political, economic, and other issues affecting Liberia and the diaspora Liberian communities.
I did not expect to even make it to Hollywood.
Join Cyrus McGee and Nathan Charles every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, live on KMTV, Facebook, and YouTube.
I want to be arrested in the midst of my people.
As they discuss the issues, blending the voices from Liberia and the diaspora Liberian communities.
The Liberian Business Association in the diaspora should be used as a vehicle for economic development in Liberia because no country can develop without a diaspora impact.
For sponsorship, call cell numbers 612-806-5896, 816-433-3979, or better still, email us at usakmtv@gmail.com. Diaspora Talk. Don't miss out.